Hello and welcome everybody. We're going to talk about the draft for public comment on BS 7671 2018 plus Amendment 3 2024. And it's going to be a new draft for public comment on some changes, small changes to the BS 7671. And today I'm joined with Steve Humphreys, our Technical Commercial Manager, and myself, I'm Frank Bertie, the Chief Technical Officer. So what's a DPC? It's a draft for public comment, and it's a principal means where the BSI looks at any standards they're looking to either update or bring out, and it's always used for all different projects, including our own standards, the British standards and international and European standards, to allow all the stakeholders within the industry to talk about and able to put their comments against any new standard that's coming out. And it's the draft for public comment is a mature draft, and it's up to date with the latest proposals, and it's inviting comments from, as I said, stakeholders in the industry to make and seek opinions to make sure we've got the latest and current information in the document. So, how long do we have to comment on the DPC? The DPC was to open on the 8th of May 2024, but due to some BSI IT issues, it didn't go live until this morning. So it's available now from the 9th of May and it ends on the 5th of June. So we've got 28 days to make your comments on it. And the comments from the DPC will be reviewed, to be considered, revised, and where appropriate, included in the issued version. And the Amendment 3 to 2024 to BS 7671 2018 is scheduled for issue on the 31st of July 2024. And that will be a free download from the IET website. So where do we comment on the DPC? Well, the DPC is available on the BSI Standards Development Portal, and it is available from today, let's say 9th of May. And if you're registered with the BSI portal when you made comments on Amendment 2, it'll be the same details you log on with that. And if you go into the BSI website on the development portal, it will ask you for your password and login details. If you forget them, they'll remind you and get a new reminder for your password and reset it and get in there and see what you're doing. Once you get in there, this is the document you'll see. So you can see the register and login on the top right hand side of there. Once you click on that, if you've never registered before, just register, take your details. It's an email and a password. That's all you're looking for on there. And then what you've got when you get into the document, you've got the area for the draft for public comment for BS 7671 2018 plus Amendment 3 to 24. And that's all you do is click on view on that. So after you've registered and logged on, you can see from the green box, it lets you show the dates where the start date and the end date of the public comment. So that's a time period you've got to look at the draft. In the red box, you've got an area where you could read and comment on the draft. You click on this one and you'll be able to see the DPC. And this is what happens when you click on that red box. It opens up the area of the draft for public comment, what's available for there. And the DPC will open up. You have the proposed wording. You'll be able to add or view any comments already submitted. And as you can see in the red box, you've got an area where it's got add and view comments, and there's already 3 comments in that area. So when you're looking at this section, you've got this area here. Once you click on the add and view comments in the red box, you'll have an area like this. So talk about whichever area you click on. This one's referring to the Part 2 definitions, and Steve will talk about the content of the DPC shortly, and I'll show you which parts are which. But in the top red box is where you make a comment on the section you're looking at. The second red box is where you make a proposal for what you want to put into the a change to the regulation or any comment you've got on there. Now, one thing to remember is if you're going to make any comments on the content of the DPC, you've got to put a proposal to that as well. There's no point just saying you don't like it and you don't want it. It doesn't work that way. That won't have any reference when the comments are reviewed. You've got to have a reason why you've got a comment on this section and your proposed change to that section. Then the next part you've got to look at in the bottom red box you've got to please select. Now this has got 3 sections and it's got a general comment, an editorial comment, or a technical comment, and you've got to select one of those to go forward. Then the other thing is important to remember is you've got 3 options on the comment. If you find you've made a mistake, you could discard it and start again. Or if you don't want to make a comment when you've started it, just discard or remove it. You could save the comment for if you're going to go through other comments before you submit them all, but you've got to submit them individually. So you could save your comment, review the next part you want to look at, then save it again. Then you've got to go back and you've got to press the submit button. And once it's submitted, it goes to BSI. Your comment won't show until they've reviewed it to make sure it's clean and healthy and there's nothing untoward said in the comment box that's going to cause any problems to the wider public. So it's got to be sensible wording in there, so to make sure nothing's done untoward. Then you submit it, it goes to them, then normally within 24 hours it then is shown in the comments on there, so you go back and see the comments on each of the pages. So it's fairly straightforward, but click on there on the BSI portal and you'll find out the information. So I'll hand over to Steve now. Steve's going to run through the information on the actual wording of a DPC.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, so obviously, like Frank just said, it's quite straightforward to get on there. We want as many comments on this as possible to get you involved in being part of the wiring regulation. So please do comment. Even though it's not a massive thing to comment on, it might affect you in your everyday working. So please comment. Yeah, so what we'll do now is we'll have a look at the actual the DPC, the detail of it, and what they're going to put in for this Amendment 3. So as you can see there on the screen, what we're really talking about here is bidirectional devices. And as a new regulation, we've got there 530.3.201, and it's got some definitions which we'll look at in a minute. So first of all, we'll just look at the regulation itself. So it says here, selection and erection of equipment for protection, isolation, switching, control and monitoring shall take account all possible directions of power flow. Now that's an important term there when they talk about power flow. So they're not talking about current. We're talking about power flow, okay, which affects these devices. So where bidirectional power flow is possible, only a device suitable for bidirectional power flow shall be used. And again, important, we've got a couple of shalls in there as well, haven't we? And we know now from the regulations that a shall is a must do rather than a nice to have. So we must be fitting these things. And there's a note underneath to say there, product standards as listed in Appendix 1 for RCCBs, RCBOs, circuit breakers, AFDDs require these devices to be marked to indicate if they are unidirectional. Okay, so that's another important distinction there, that if it's unidirectional device, it will be marked in and out, sometimes with arrows, line and load, whatever that may be. And we know that's one direction of power only, flow of direction of power only, but bidirectional devices generally aren't marked. And we're speaking to manufacturers all the time, and BEMA, just to confirm all this as well. So this has had some history to it, Frank, as well, hasn't it? Because this has been in play for a very long time, hasn't it? You know, this issue, but it seems to have come to light due to the resurgence in renewables, I would have said.
Yes, it's been a common topic for solar PV installations. We've got information about the bidirectional devices in our on-site solutions and in our code breakers. So we've been talking about this at our NAPIT Expo events, on events at ELEX over the past few years, because this is an important topic when you're looking at power flow, where devices can be affected and possibly lose part of their safety features due to the damage from the power flow in both directions.
Yeah, and I think that's key, Frank, because sometimes people are, saying, oh, it doesn't matter, but actually there's evidence out there that, especially with things like RCDs, RCBOs, that they can be particularly damaged if the incoming power affects the solenoid. You think the device is working and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So we've got to take this stuff seriously, otherwise it wouldn't be in the regulations. Going on secondly then, next slide, Frank, is what we've got there is we've got some changes obviously in the definitions as well, because we want to define what these terms mean. So we've got unidirectional protected device, a protected device where it is intended that a power supply is only connected to one defined set of connection terminals and power flow is only in one direction. So like I said previously, Appendix 1 for product standards for listing those devices, and like I said, unidirectional are going to have that in and out, line or load, or sometimes indicated by arrows depending on the particular manufacturer. And then we've got the definition of bidirectional protective devices, a protected device where a power supply may be connected to either set of connection terminals and power flow may be in either direction. And like we've already suggested, with renewables, you know, battery storage systems, we're feeding in solar PV, we're feeding in vehicle to grid, we're feeding in. So all these new technologies, we've got to be more aware of it, that these kind of things are going to be in everyday electrical installations as they become more complex. So yeah, like Frank said, we have covered this exclusively at some of the elect shows and expos and webinars we do. We've been talking about this for a long time, but it's great to see now, Frank, that this has actually ended up in as a regulation, you know, as a part of Amendment 3.
Yes, the only place currently it's mentioned in 7671 is in Chapter 8, Part 8 in Chapter 82, where it talks about prosumers installations, where they do talk about power flow. But it is an important thing to remember when you're installing any of these type of installations where the power can flow in both directions. We need to make sure the devices can handle that. And that's an important factor to look at when we're in these installations. And we have been anyone involved in the MCS have been aware of this as well for renewables, because this has been part of the assessment to look at this for a long time as well. So
yeah, that's
it just means that the WARN regulations are catching up. This is an important one that's got to come out to make sure everybody is installing to these devices, because not all renewables are installed through the MCS. They can't be installed without any government grants or feed-in tariffs or anything like that nowadays. So we're finding people are installing things without following the MCS installation requirements where these things were covered. So
yeah, making sure the installation's completely safe. That's right, Frank. Okay, I think that about covers it, for folks. So hopefully that's been really useful for you, and you know where to go to actually, you know, make your comments on the DPC. Make sure you go there and do that. And obviously, if you're members and you have any more questions, please call the helpline, get in touch, and we'll be able to hopefully answer any questions and clear up any confusion over this issue. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you all soon.
Okay, thank you very much.